Josh, tell us about your business and what's limiting its growth right now.
Dreamer is the first science-backed sound machine to hit the market. We use science-backed frequencies to help parents, kids fall asleep and stay asleep. So these are frequencies that target the brain. They regulate the nervous system by lowering cortisol and increasing oxytocin, lowering heart rate, lowering blood pressure, and it's an all-in-one device. So it's smaller than an iPhone, and we're really proud of it. But I think some of our constraints are, we're in a niche market and a market, sound machines for kids, for adults that have some big players in it. And ultimately right now, as a brand new company, our limits are our marketing, our outreach to people, and somewhat of the education as well, discussing the frequencies and how what we do is different than just white noise, which is a collection of frequencies that just blocks out noise. It's not actually targeted frequencies to your brain. So that's something that we're working on and trying to overcome as a small startup.
Right. Lot to unpack there, but before we deep dive, I wanted to cover the goals. Can you tell us what was the revenue like last year and what you're shooting for 3 years from now or in the next 3 years?
Well, year one, right, as a startup, our revenue was about 20,000. We did a big gifting campaign as well, which we essentially put towards marketing. And our ultimate goal is to sell 1,000 units a month. So for that, it looks that's about $1 million company if all is well. And we have various different ways in which we sell in terms of our direct to consumers and other retail outlets. So there's obviously a little different revenue stream depending on where people are buying it. But the market with 4 million babies being born a year in the U.S., that's just a small chunk, and we believe that we can go there and beyond.
Tell me about the device. You said there are like specific frequencies that it uses, right? Which is unique, which is different than a white noise machine. Can you help us understand how they're different and why the white noise is not a good solution?
Sure. Well, I guess I wouldn't posture to say that white noise is not a good solution, but it's not. It doesn't solve the problem. So white noise is a collection of all frequencies, and it's been used for a long time, whether people use TV static or other means of white noise, but it just masks other noises, right? So especially with kids, babies, you've got an ambulance rolling by, a dog barking. It helps in just masking noises. But we use 432 hertz and 528 hertz, which these have been clinically researched studies, frequencies in studies that, again, regulate your nervous system. So these are, sound frequencies or vibrations that talk to your brain. And these particular ones, there's a large spectrum of frequencies, but these particular ones, so the 432 is often considered the tuning frequency. So you'll find this a lot in music. It used to be 440, but it's 432 now. And 528 is the love frequency. And so there's actually been research that this frequency can promote DNA repair. And when we created this, we wanted something, again, that worked really well for our family. And we dove deep into this science of sound. And what we found was, again, through these research studies, was that by lowering cortisol, right, our stress hormone, everyone's doing things throughout the day. And once you finally get down into your bedtime routine, which is very different for everybody, we're stressed, we're thinking about the day, whether you have kids, business, whatnot. It's hard for us to calm down, especially with cell phones or TV, which add a whole different spectrum of issues. But with these frequencies, having the ability to lower that cortisol and increase your oxytocin or your happy hormone, it actually gets you into the right space to sleep. So our brains, this is from caveman days, but our brains want to feel safe to fall asleep, right? We don't want predators attacking us. Obviously, very few of us have that issue these days, but it's the same brain, right? So these frequencies talk to you and actually help your brain feel safe to actually transition to sleep, because no one actually just goes to sleep like a light switch. Well, maybe some people, but most of us do not. So it's aiding in that transition of going from awake to asleep.
How do they sound? I'm guessing they sound different than a white noise machine, right?
Correct. Yeah. White noise, again, is kind of that TV static that you would hear.
Right.
If any of your listeners have had a sound bowl bath or these Tibetan bowls, it kind of has a wah, wah, wah noise to it. So it's definitely a particular sound. But what we've done is we've actually combined these with what we call our dreamscapes. So we have a couple different lullabies. We have an ocean sound. We do use pink noise, which is actually a little bit softer than white noise. We have brain, heartbeat. So noises that people are familiar with, but when they're meshed with the frequencies, you're actually getting the benefit of that with a calming soundscape to surround yourself in.
What's pink noise?
Pink noise is like, I mean, there's pink noise, brown noise, white noise. So it's a different spectrum of frequencies than white noise. So it sounds similar, but a little bit different of a frequency range than typical white noise.
So
People
you
often think
mentioned,
it's softer.
right. You mentioned 432 hertz and 528 hertz. Are these like, is it like you start off with one and then you switch to the other, or is it in like phases, or are they alternative? Like, tell me how they're different and how they interact with each other.
So we use them separately in our soundscapes. So right now we have certain sounds that have 432 and certain sounds that have 528. Both of them serve a little bit of the same function in terms of, again, regulating the nervous system in that sense. But they do, like I said, do a little bit different things. And we have them because everybody's different, right? There's a subjective understanding of what the frequencies sound like for each person. Actually, a cool update that we're working on. So our device is basically a mini computer with an app. So we're able to have people download firmware updates. But we're working on a really cool update where we're splitting the frequencies and the sounds so that you will be able to go in and, let's say choose your ocean. If ocean's my favorite, okay, and I want 432 for that, you can change the intensity of that frequency sound. Because right now it's kind of a subtle presence in the background, I would say. And then we're actually going to be adding more frequencies as well. We really believe in the power of frequencies, and each one talks to the brain in a little bit of a different way.
Also, you're thinking of adding more.
Correct.
In addition to the 432 and 528, right?
Yeah, that's our ultimate goal. I mean, again, we put our stamp. I mean, these are naturally occurring frequencies, so we don't own 432 or 528, right? Like I was listening to a song earlier that has 432 baked into it. But there are different frequencies out there that some help with deep sleep, some help with calming, which 432 and 528 do as well. And what's great about our device is that actually not everyone who uses it for sleep, but some people also use it for meditation or a midday reset regulation, because again, cortisol levels are high throughout the day. So we have people who just take, a 10-minute meditation, 10-minute breathing exercise and use our frequencies. So we're constantly trying to improve and expand on what the Dreamer can offer people, because again, we're also subjective, right? It's almost like a diet that works for you might not work for me. So there are some frequencies that some people may feel are more powerful for them than others. So We're trying to explore that science.
Yeah. See, you mentioned the white noise is essentially masking other noises. So are these frequencies not masking other noises? Like say like an ambulance goes by, can you still hear the ambulance, or will that noise be masked?
No, the goal is, I mean, I guess the answer to your question is they do help mask noise, absolutely. But they're also specifically targeting the brain. So, in that, I guess the answer to that question too is depending on the person. So let's say for little kids that are using this, right? They're growing, developing, their ears are very sensitive. So we always tend to tell people, you want this 5 to 7 feet from your kid. If you close the door, let's say to their bedroom or nursery, and you can still hear it on the outside, it's probably too loud. For adults, we're a little bit stronger than that. So, give people a little bit more breadth as to the volume. But, anything that is quiet, it depends on how close you live to a street, right? If you live right on the street and an ambulance rolls by, even if you're blasting a movie, sometimes you're going to hear that ambulance. But ultimately, our goal for these sounds is to help, especially our kids and ourselves, go to sleep and stay asleep. So It all again is somewhat subjective to each person, where they live, the environment that they're in. But the great thing even about our device being, like I said, smaller than an iPhone, is we bring it everywhere with us. So if we go to a restaurant and our kids are sleeping, the goal is to mask the environment of the restaurant, and not have our kids wake up to loud people laughing, plates clanking. So that's always the underlying goal, right? Is to promote sleep and staying asleep. And then on the underside of that is the benefit of these targeted frequencies that again talk to the brain and do magical things with the frequencies.
Is it really effective in a noisy restaurant, or like does it come with like headphones type extension
We
where
don't
it like locks? No.
We don't have headphones, no. And again, depending on how old your kid is, I mean, if you go to a restaurant with a 6-month-old baby, you don't really want, or any young kid, right? You don't want them to have super loud noise, especially close to the ears. We found it's very effective. Especially if you have a stroller, we would put, the shade over and a blanket, and then strap the dreamer on the outside of like the stroller handle. And, again, environments are, at least outside of the home, environments are unpredictable. So we can't control everything, right? It's not a hey, this is going to mask, it's not going to be like noise canceling headphones in that sense. But it does a really good job in masking noises. And again, those frequencies talking to the brain help with those deep waves, slow waves for deep sleep as well. So it does a lot of really cool things.
Hmm. Is there a reason why you set it up as a mini computer as opposed to like a standalone device, which is like uh, built in, and you cannot, once it's produced and it stays like that? Why did you went the computer route? Because I'm guessing it makes it more expensive, right?
Yes, unfortunately, it does. I think for us, we, again, in searching for this, what brought this on was my wife and I having a kid, and we just found the devices on the market weren't great, and you were constantly having to buy different devices depending on how old your kid was. And so we wanted a unit that didn't just last for 6 months or a year, something that could actually grow with your family. So we wanted to have, so that the unit can work standalone. You do not need the app um, to control it. We have 3 dreamers running at my house every night. My wife and I use it, and our 2 kids. I rarely use the app, to be honest with you. Um, but we wanted something that could allow people to do firmware updates, that allowed them to, as we grow and update the app, to have more maneuverability with sounds. And we have twinkling lights on our product. So those are actually specifically tuned light frequencies that help mitigate blue light. And you can change the intensity of those. Again, everyone's environment's different. So some people like the lights brighter, some like them lower. So yes, it definitely was expensive, but we wanted something that wasn't on the market in terms of that uh, ability to grow with your family, add more sounds, have a mom or a dad say affirmations to a kid, or you'll be able to, if a mom wants to sing their own personal lullaby to the kid, put that in the app and shoot that to the dreamer. So then after that, you wouldn't have to use the app. A lot of the products on the market now that have apps, you have to use the app to control a device. So we wanted to kind of be a two-way thing where we had modern tech, but then also didn't have to use it if you didn't want to.
Hmm. You mentioned you're thinking of adding more frequencies down the line. Or is the current device can handle the future frequencies, or will there be like they will have to buy an updated version?
No, our device handles all that. So we have a really cool golden ratio sound port that actually ties in directly with these frequencies. And so the device itself creates these frequencies. So a little, because some people say, well, why wouldn't I just play this on my phone? Right.
Hmm.
there's a couple different answers to that. As a parent, one, I want my phone when my kid's sleeping. And a lot of times, when you're hearing these sounds from, let's say, YouTube, Spotify, or whatnot, you're just you're getting benefit from them, but not the true benefit, right? Because you're not actually hearing or feeling the vibration of these sounds, right? Frequencies are sound vibrations. So the way in which Dreamer produces these frequencies resonates with that golden ratio sound port. So it's able to handle whatever frequency we ask it to put out.
So you couldn't theoretically say if I have an Amazon Alexa device, and could it, in theory, turn this into like an app that plays with Alexa app, and then you don't even need the device. You can just reuse the Alexa app, and then you turn into a software company. Is that even feasible?
I guess so. I think in the same sense, we want to have the true feel of the frequencies, right? So in the same sense, like Alexa is just would be playing a recorded track in that sense, instead of actually playing the frequencies. I mean, our Dreamer is built in with AI capabilities, so it's something that could talk to your Alexa. It could talk to other products. We aren't there yet in the ultimate development of that, but we built it to have that capability with, knowing what or having an idea of what the AI age is going to bring to our homes. We wanted to have that connectability as well.
Right. No, but once again, is it like, just if we just take the software component out of the device, can it be plugged and played into an existing Alexa device, like assuming the
Sure.
code can be ported over? It can.
Yeah, it's
So
definitely possible.
okay, so the value that the device is adding is essentially, it's just like a container. The main USP, unique selling point, is in the software, not in the device, like the hardware piece of it, right?
I would posture to say that it's both. Again, because of its portability, we have a strap, like your ability to bring it anywhere as a parent, right? I mean, I think if you're primarily playing this at home, you could use the software. Again, you might not have the same effects of the software coming through something like an Alexa, or let's say a Bluetooth speaker or something like that. But again, we also wanted, from a safety perspective, to not necessarily have to rely on 5G or Wi-Fi. So we use Bluetooth Low Energy to connect to our app, but you can take that off. So we wanted to be sensitive to parents who didn't want a ton of EMF exposure to their kids. So again, whether it's your phone playing or other devices that use Wi-Fi to play in general, we wanted that as a selling point for us as well, because I know that a lot of, at least for us, that's a big deal with what's going on around our kids.
What's the pricing like? We mentioned that it is a small computer. What's the retail price versus the manufacturer price right now?
So we sell it for $84.99, and our manufacturing price, I think, is what it is, but we're also at a small scale right now, right? So we're at about $30 a unit, and that's at an extremely low MOQ. Again, as a startup business, we don't have the ability to have 50,000 units of inventory, right? Anything with retail, as you scale, the price comes down. So where we started is at packaged, done, ready to go is $30.
What is MOQ?
Our initial run was just under 3,000 units.
No. What does it stand for?
Minimum order quantity.
Oh, okay.
So, any manufacturer would have, hey, I'm not going to make you 100 of these.
I see.
So it was definitely, that process as well, with, finding and working with a manufacturer that could help us, develop and build out this product, was again, at that low MOQ, was tough, but we found a really great partner with that.
Are these being made in China or in the US?
They are being made in China. Yes.
Hmm.
We
Is Have you looked at alternatives? Like, I know the price will go up even further, but have you, like, what would be like a difference in price if you were to find like a low cost manufacturer in the US?
we're talking at least double.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I mean, that was man, that was what we wanted. To be honest with you, is to try and find someone locally in the U.S. and especially with shipping and tariffs and um, just everything we've had to deal with in that sense. Even we have our magnet on the back is from a company called Fidlock. They're out of Germany, but it's produced in Hong Kong. So even what we learned right, going through this, to go from Hong Kong into mainland China, we had to pay a tariff on that too. Um,
Hmm.
so it's been a big learning experience in terms of even the PCB, so our printed circuit board, that mini computer, finding a good manufacturer, finding all the pieces that ultimately work. All these things have been, it was 3.5, 4 years of development to try to figure out how to put all these pieces together.
Hmm. How many versions does it have? Does it like this one product or does it come in like three different versions?
We have one Dreamer version, but we have two different colors right now, and we're working on bringing out two more in the next year. Um, and the great thing with that, I mean, the silicone skin that we have, we can change that, so the guts of it will stay, but we're talking about having more of an adult version rather than just
Hmm.
our moon and cloud that does look um, childish. I mean, that's what we made it for, right? Was for kids and families. But as we've, especially in our own test case with myself and my wife, finding the benefits of this, it's like, man, and we've had a lot more just adults who don't even have kids start buying this. So that's something that we want to do in the future, is create different skins that appeal to different people in the market. And I think with most any founders or people starting up, there's we have other thoughts of products down the line that we would love to introduce. That we're not at yet, but there's definitely other ways in which we can create more robust versions for the Dreamer as well.
Hmm. When you look at the current competition in your niche, is $84.99, is it at the top of the range right now, or are there more expensive products available in the same niche?
There are more expensive products. There's a handful that are right at that $100 range, and then there's some at the almost $200 range as well.
Hmm. And how are they uniquely different? Like, what's their competitive advantage?
Well, I would think that there really isn't much. I think ours is a superior product. I mean, the one that's there are some that have um, an actual fan playing inside, and I think some of them, it's the brand, right? I mean, we have one competitor that I would definitely give props to. They're probably the leader um, in our niche right now, which is Hatch. They have a ton of products, and they have a really good following. And we're trying to catch up.
Right. No, but do they have the same frequencies? Like, how are they differentiating why people should pay $200?
So they're not using frequencies. So like their most expensive product does some different things with light. So even with like kind of focusing almost more even sometimes on the wake up. So having wake up lights as you come in. It's definitely more, if you're looking for like a sound player. We're not a Bluetooth speaker, right? That's not our goal. Is not for, even though we have Bluetooth capabilities, this is not something you're like, hey, bring the Dreamer to the beach and play with your friends. And neither is the Hatch, but it is a much larger unit. It's a desktop unit, and it's a good looking product, but they're not using the frequencies we are right now. No,
Hmm. So that's your unique selling point, frequencies, right?
for sure.
So the problem really becomes on educating the audience because people don't know about this, right?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
That's something we've been.
Interesting.
Uh,
So, how are you solving this problem, the education problem, right? Because if you can, like, if a potential parent can see this, right? If they're watching this, they learn more about it. They're like, oh, okay, so these frequencies are better for my brain. It helps me go to sleep faster. It helps my brain feel safe. Clearly, it's one of a kind product. No one else is building it, and they are essentially sold at that point. So how are you thinking of bridging this educational gap for more people to buy this product?
I think that's something that we're constantly trying to evolve with. As you and I have talked about before, I mean, there's, when people are scrolling quickly and the attention spans are low, what do we do um, to gain that attention, right? And try and not force, but push them on, like, okay, this is actually a different product than you're used to. Um, and so we're trying to do that with podcasts, with educational videos, YouTube videos, things on our social media. If you go to our website, that's one of the first things we say is, we're not your typical sound machine. We're actually something that's, better for you, better for your family, better for your brain. Um,
Mm,
so it's um, capturing that education in a matter of, 3, 5, 10 seconds is hard, but we're doing, I think, a better and better job of it. We're, again, as a group of people building this that don't have a whole lot of or didn't have a whole lot of e-commerce or retail experience, we've been learning a lot with that. And I think, in terms of what you're saying, we talked about earlier with our struggles, we've changed a little bit of our messaging to focus more on the parents and rather baby centric, because even though we want people to use this product for their babies, babies don't make buying decisions, and
not
babies
yet.
don't, not right, not yet. Um, babies don't have a concept, or even little kids with us as a 4-year-old have a concept of sleep deprivation, or what consistent sleep deprivation does to our bodies. So one of our shifts has been towards parents, right? And to say, look, like, these frequencies help your kids fall asleep, and they're, helps for their brain development, because that's where, not only with parents, I mean, that's where our brains do the biggest cleanup job, is when we're sleeping. But brain development for kids happens during sleep and growth. And if your kids can sleep, then you have a better chance to sleep, and then you have a chance to be the best parent, best business owner, best partner to your spouse. So it's a trickle down effect, right? And
Mm,
I think with us trying to be intentional with how we're helping people to sleep, again, rather than just saying, hey, here's white noise, mask whatever's going on, and throw in the towel, we want to be a little bit more pointed with what we're doing and why we're doing it. And seems to be
mm.
helping a lot of families. It definitely helps ours.
Yeah. I so in the pre-interview you mentioned the product. I looked it up. Um, and I was on Amazon and I noticed the price and I was like, well, I should try. I'm gonna buy this product. And then I noticed the price. I was like, oof, $84 seems steep. Have you thought about building like a scaled down version with no Bluetooth capability, not a fancy computer? It's just like a basic model, maybe which costs like maybe $15 to produce, and we can sell it for say $30 and then have like the 84.99 version as like the premium, right? So we have the basic and the premium models, and
Hmm.
then you can capture kind of like the low end market as well. Have you thought about that strategy?
Um, yes, a little bit. I guess we haven't. We've been trying to push this product and what we've believed in and what we've made. I don't think that is necessarily a bad idea. Um, and I think that we'd have to do some research on, a bulk of our cost, like you said, is that PCB, right? And the ability for it to create the frequencies the way it does. a lot of it is also the silicone. Silicone is more expensive to produce than just ABS plastic, and we wanted to be, again, intentional about that with babies and kids putting things in their mouths, also with durability. Silicone adds a lot of durability to us, so I think we would have to make a lot of sacrifices to go to that, to a scaled down version. And I don't, we'd have to really, go through that as a company to see if that's the direction we wanted to go. But, I think with anything, retail, you're talking about average order value and, having multiple products, bundles. It's definitely something I think that we would want to think about moving forward and expanding that
Yeah.
product line as well. Because I think we can go down and up in terms
Right.
of the product.
Because in my mind, as I'm looking at this, obviously I'm thinking in terms of as an adult. I mean, my kids are 5 years and 2 year old, so I theoretically we could leverage it for them as well. But when I was just looking at for myself, because I right now I use the Alexa device, and I just play the white noise at night. So I was intrigued, and the reason I was intrigued was not because of the silicon and the Bluetooth features and all that, right? I was intrigued because of the frequencies. So for me personally, I don't really care about what the product looks like and what it has, right? I care about, oh, how do I get the benefit of these frequencies so it helps me go into a deeper sleep and a more restful sleep, right? And I think that's the market you might be missing, because on one hand, you can, in theory, the premium product can be targeted towards the babies and parents who have like newborns, and then you can have an adult version which is more like stripped down and is just focuses on directly proportional to the marketing around the unique frequencies, because no one else has it. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's one thing that we, again, like I said, we're learning, right? Because when we made this product for our family, and we didn't necessarily have in mind, well, hey, this could actually be impactful for adults too. Not that the science isn't there, but that wasn't our initial, target audience. And I think the more that we're seeing adults use the product and find value in it, that that you might have, a very interesting thought with that for sure.
Yeah, because right now your TAM, total addressable market, is you mentioned like 4 million babies born per year, right? But then you pretty much open it up to the entire United States, right?
Absolutely. And I think even at our product now, as you said, you said 2-year-old and 5-year-old.
Yeah.
So, we consider that part of our market. I mean, we have families with 10-year-olds that are using this, right? I mean, as we all grow, especially, up into high school, all of our sleep cycles are changing. The, wake windows, especially from 0 to 4 is very different. So I think that it's more than that 4 million, right? I mean, part of it, we're trying to, in that education, parents who maybe already have a device in their house say, hey, consider using this for your kids. And we've had a lot of people with that as well, who have had, other products that have been on the market for a while, and have said, hey, why don't or we've wooed them to get them to try the Dreamer, and they said, wow, this is, has made a big difference on my kid, regardless of the age. But, sleep or lack thereof is a global epidemic, and
Mm,
especially in the US. So if we can reach, you know, get a piece of 300 million Americans who are
yeah.
struggling with sleep, that would be hugely impactful for us for sure.
Mm. What are some of the negative feedback you have gotten? I'm sure not everything is positive. And yeah, let's talk about that, because I want to see how you're solving those.
For sure. Well, I think the overwhelming has been positive. The negative responses we've had is people who don't necessarily like the frequencies, I think, and also people who have bought the product maybe, because it is cute, it is portable, but didn't necessarily read into the frequencies. And so when they started using the product, they were somewhat confused about the sound they were hearing. And some people have
Mm.
said, "Oh, it sounds staticky. There's something wrong with the speaker." It's a really good speaker, and again, I think that these are all very subjective things. Some people we've had have said, initially it was I've had to transition. I mean, even my wife was, when we first started creating this, it was something that she's like, I don't know. And then, after a few nights, she's a believer, and even when she travels for work, she brings one. So I
Mm.
think again, that's part of that education piece. And we had, I think so. We tried to make it simple, so we basically have four buttons, but two actionable buttons. So our moon turns the dreamer on, the cloud changes our dreamscapes, and then we played a little bit with like how to turn it off and having, again, so you don't have to use the app, putting on timers. So we had if you held down the moon, it would turn the product off, and so some people wanted that to be more streamlined. So we've actually made that update. So the moon turns it on and turns it off, so that you've got one power button, and then the cloud button just does the dreamscapes, and then if you hold that down, you can set timers as well. So kind of streamlining the buttons a little bit, and then even with that, for our future manufacturing runs, we're going to change the mold a little bit so that there's a little power symbol on the moon, a little like music note on the cloud, so that it's as self-explanatory as possible. Because even, in that baby kid sector, grandparents are buying this, right? Or childcare providers who, you want to be able to just hand this to them and say, turn this on. Mom and dad are going out to dinner. Use this power button, sound button, and have it just no questions asked. So those are some things that and that's a great thing about having it be that kind of mini computer with the app, is that we're able to make those changes really quickly as we've had that feedback come in.
Mm. Well, you mentioned one of the negative reviews was people saying that it sounds staticky and they were not really expecting how the frequency would sound like. Is there a way you could put like, oh, before you even use this product, watch this video, or like a QR code which opens up a video on their app and on their phone, and they can just watch this 60-second video to kind of like educate them to
Yep.
level set their expectations?
Yeah, that's actually funny you said. We're working on that. And then one of the updates to our website we're working on is that you can preview the sounds. So you can, as you're checking out the product, you can say, hey, what does the Ocean 528 sound like? And you can hear
Mm.
that, through your phone or your computer, or however you're, browsing for purchasing. So yeah, giving people a little bit of a mooch boosh of our sounds before they
Yeah.
know what's going on.
Yeah. Because
And it's
I,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm gonna say some of the, with the learning that we've done with this. So with Amazon, we use the Vine program, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Vine program, but it's something that you and I could sign up for, and you get free product in return for reviews. And so some of those negative feedbacks came from the Vine program, where it wasn't necessarily people who were buying it with the intention of using it and didn't necessarily
Mm.
do their research on the product. It was like, oh, hey, cool, new sound machine. Yeah, I'll send me one and I'll review it. So we've
Yeah.
had some positive and negative experiences with the Vine program in that regard.
Yeah. I mean, that's, you're gonna have to deal
And
with it.
that's just, oh
It
yeah,
So I will tell you a similar story. So I recently launched my book, The Land Business. I mean, the target audience is people who want to get into buying and selling vacant land, right? And how do you think about the business and how do you scale it? So I joined a review network where I would review other people's books. They will review my book, and so it's like a uh, win-win for everyone involved. And some people left negative reviews saying, "Oh, this seemed like I don't like the formatting, or I don't like the way it's written. It's like it assumes you have business experience." Like I was like, the business is in the title. Like you won't even pick up the book if you didn't have any business background, or
Right.
you were not thinking of starting a business. So I mean, any kind of free program like that, you're going to have people, right, who are like completely oddballs because they just want the free product, and they hope it's gonna solve all their problems, right?
Absolutely. And that's
Um,
even without that, right? We've had to have, the stomach to go, not everyone's going to like the product, right? I mean, I think
yeah,
that's anything. I mean, you can, somebody loves Porsches and some people are like, I just can't stand them, right? I mean, that's just,
yeah,
the beauty of having the open market like that, and having things that people like and people don't like.
yeah. No, but I think in your case, you have a way out, or you have a way to solve this problem. Because you can just say, well, before you even try this, watch this 60-second video, right?
Yeah.
And then not only show, oh, this is the expectation of, this is how the sound will sound like, but also that it is like it's going to take 2 weeks for you to get used to these sounds, right? And also have like negative examples saying, well, if your product is indeed broken, then it's going to sound like this as opposed to this. So people know exactly what the expectations are, and what a good sound likes, and what a bad sound would sound like.
Yeah. And I would think, especially like, in my wife's scenario, right? I mean, it took her a couple days. I instantly fell in love with it. So again, that's a very subjective thing, but yes, I think kind of having that teaser understanding of what the sounds are like, and what to expect. And again, I think it's a little bit harder maybe for the adult market, because we do have so many thoughts and feelings and emotions around, especially bedtime. But kids don't, babies don't, right? I mean, you're not going to get at least at least our 6 month old is going to say, "Hey, what is that?" um, so,
Yeah.
so at least with the kids, right? It's been a faster transition. Most of our the people who reach out to me say, "Hey, you know what? We use this other sound machine, and all of a sudden in a week, my kid is sleeping much better." I mean, kids wake up, adults wake up every night. I mean, it's hard to find somebody, or at least a kid that never wakes up. But less wake ups. I mean, even for us, I mean, I think you probably know as parents, right? If something's 1, 2, 3% better, it means
Yeah.
a lot. And it
Yeah.
just compounds too.
A couple of other ideas I had was, one, having testimonials in the product itself, like as in like when they first receive it, they watch, before you even begin, watch this video, and then
Mm,
you can start off with testimonials and then go into education, because then you kind of like pre-training them that it's gonna work, but you just have to understand that these are the three things you need to think about, that it's gonna take some time, it's going to sound like this and not like this, and you have to use it regularly. You can't just use it once per week and expect it to improve your sleep, like stuff like that. I think it can be more of a VSL, like a video sales letter. You're like, just because they bought the product, they might have gotten as a gift, or they bought it for free as part of a review exchange program, they still need to be educated and resold before they even hit the button. So
and
that's
I
the
think
first thought. Yeah,
I think
sorry,
that's
go
something
ahead.
no, and I think just to build on that, I think that's something that we are looking to build into like our email marketing, our follow up marketing with people
Yeah,
who come, add to cart, don't just come visit the website, is like you said, some of those testimonials and expectations. So that's definitely something that we um, on that side um, has already come up. But I think in terms of, like you said, a lot of these are baby products are gifted often. So to have
mm,
like a QR code on there, insert or something that can say, "Hey, welcome to Dreamer. This is what to expect," and have some information like that, I think is something that we can definitely implement. I think that's a great
Yeah.
idea.
You know how like some of the products they would have like the stop sign printed on it, stop before you even use the product. Watch this 60-second video. I
Yeah,
really like love those because oh wait, there must be something important, and then you watch it and it starts with a testimonial, then goes into education, right? So I think that's a good opportunity. Um, the other idea I had was the another reason why you need like one more than one product is because then you have an opportunity to upsell. So, for
yep,
example, if someone buys the $40 version product, right, you can have like a gift card or a coupon code to apply to, like, oh, you bought it, thank you so much. We're a small family owned business, blah blah blah. Here we're gonna want to do right by U.S. families. We're gonna add like a $5 coupon towards if you want to buy a product made for babies, stuff like that. So it
right.
allows you to like increase the LTV, lifetime value of your customers, by having these incentives, as part of your product.
Absolutely.
Um, Another idea I had was, um, actually I completely forgot something around referrals, but I'll come back to it. But you mentioned you're doing email marketing, and I also looked at your website. You're doing some influencer marketing as well. You want to talk about that?
Sure. Well, we have a partnership with Howie Mandel right now, um, which has been cool. I think that's um, it's one thing. It's probably the main place that we actually need to continue to do more of. Um, and in terms of the word influencer, I think I kind of use that loosely, right? Because we're trying to get more. I don't mean this in any bad sense, but regular moms, right? Like I'm not trying to get someone who has 1 million followers and this is what they do for their business, right? So we're trying to get more people who, moms that create content to use the Dreamer. And again, if they don't like it, I don't want them to promote it, but tell us their story, right? Tell us your transition story, or unboxing, how this has helped your family. We have a little bit of that. um, we have a ton of traveling families where, and I think as part, like I've become a sleep science coach with everything that I've done with this. And, the more I learn about consistent bedtime routines, the more, like, it's very important, not only for us, but for little kids. So we've had a lot of moms who have said, hey, you know what, the fact that we are able to bring the Dreamer everywhere, and our kids hear the same sound every night, and they know that, okay, this means it's time to go to sleep, has been hugely impactful for them. Because before, you'd have, let's say for Hatch, you have these large desktop or side table units, let's say, and those are playing one sound, but then you have to buy another product when you travel, and they're not the same sounds. And not to say that's bad, but the science does tell us that a consistent bedtime routine, the same sounds, the same wind down, is very important in getting that brain to that safe spot that we talked about earlier. So
Hmm.
that's, whether it's influencers, creators, moms, that's something that we're very focused on moving forward at this point.
So the collaboration with Howie Mandel, did you see a bump in sales or in eyeballs?
Definitely eyeballs. Unfortunately, not as much with sales. Um, and I don't know if that's just because Howie's not a mom, and but um, so I think that ultimately, the partnership with Howie worked well because Howie is very big into health and wellness, and we consider our product a health and wellness product, right? I mean, it's at its core, everything we talked about. It's a neurological calming device. So people with ADD, anxiety, or anything like that, like it has tremendous value for them. And I think that that's where Howie came in, right? It had value for him in his own life. So I think that's something that we're all start learning to, like, okay, how do we take this this promotion from somebody who, has had an impact on their life, and train our marketing around that.
Mm,
Again, I think in that sense of what we've talked about in terms of our two different uh, intended audiences, right?
yeah,
We've kind of had to pick and choose a little bit how we market that.
yeah,
What's 1A and what's 1B in terms of that. So again, this has been kind of a learning experience in terms of who we get to promote it, how we then promote that back. But we've definitely been proud to have Howie's endorsement.
yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it does sound, as you correctly pointed out, does sound a little bit of a conflict, right? Because on one hand, the product is all about babies and helping them sleep, right? On the other hand, it's Howie Mandel. He's more of a comedian and health and wellness, more like outside the niche, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like if you did have an adult version, right, that would have helped because then it's easier to connect the dots. Right now, it feels a little bit of a mismatch.
And I think somewhat of, the branding. I mean, again, at our core, we're a product that's marketed towards, families, not
Mhm.
necessarily just for adults. And we're having to pivot, and we're lucky that we're a small team, and want to and have to pivot in this world. So um, there's definitely a lot of things on all those fronts that we are uh, trying to negotiate
Right.
the, the rollout of things like that.
Yeah.
And
So
this, like you say, with adults, I mean, this is something that we, not to cut you off, I apologize, Abby, but for, high performing business people like yourself, let's say athletes, these are things, I mean, to be an amazing athlete, you have your triangle of, your sleep, training, and what you eat. But it's not an equilateral triangle. Sorry. Sleep has the
mm,
biggest impact on all of those, right? If you're not sleeping, then you can't train well, or you make poor eating decisions because if you get poor sleep, your metabolism changes. And so your body's fighting for, sugars or carbs. And it's not actually in a state where it's like, okay, let's think about this in the healthiest way possible. So that's something that we're learning more. It's like, okay, how do we approach um, people in general who are interested in health and wellness, and to really say, hey, your sleep is the most important key to everything else in your life. I mean, the propensity for people to have depression on low sleep. I mean, it is, and even with parents, we talked to them about, if you're getting low sleep under 5 hours, um, the data says you're 60% more likely to snap, whether that's at your partner or your kids. And that's not the parent we all want to be. So I think we have a bigger thing in that sense too. And everything you talked about is, how do we get all these things out to the different niche
yeah.
markets, our niche.
Yeah, yeah. I mean sleep is a big thing, it's all about health these days. So I think your product is definitely aligned with the trend that we are experiencing in the US, and I feel like it's just a matter of positioning because you're positioned towards babies, and it is a smaller TAM. So that's why I was like, well, if you had a second product for adults, that would be, I think it'll be a game changer.
Yeah,
The other thing I missed earlier, which I was like, thought about it and then I forgot, and now it came back to me, was having affiliate relationships, right? So maybe in adjacent marketplaces, like maybe they sell strollers, right? And then you're like, well, if they like, well, you should try out Dreamer, right?
yeah,
And then you cross promote their strollers, right? Oh, our whatever snap is compatible with this stroller. This is what the recommended stroller is, like stuff like that, because
absolutely.
then it's a win-win partnership between two companies, right? Because you're just selling more of it. You can, if you want to incentivize that, you can also be like, well, we'll throw in a kickback in addition to cross promoting. So
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot of opportunities because when we started the podcast, you did mention your biggest constraint was uh, outreach. You're in a small niche market, right? And like I think having affiliates is like one of those things where you can like it's exponential, right? Because there's unlimited, yeah, because there are unlimited baby products that you can cross promote and have an affiliate relationship with.
Absolutely.
So that was one thought. Um, you mentioned AI earlier,
Mm.
that you're leveraging AI and you have this AI compatibility. We didn't touch on that. Can you explain a little bit more how you're using AI?
Well, as I said, we're not quite there yet, but we wanted to make sure that we had the capability to do that. Um, some of the things we wanted to do, and like the next version, we want to have a microphone on there, right? So that um, if the baby's crying and it can change the sound, it can turn the volume up, it can maybe intensify or weaken the frequencies. One of the things we're trying to do within our app is do some AI with an AI chat or AI kind of your own home doctor nurse, and then also with insights, right? So I think like I wear a Whoop band, right, and a lot of that is objective information, but we want to try and figure out a way in which we can have um, parents kind of track their kids' sleep, wake ups, and then suggestions, right? On, hey, for example, when you used the ocean waves, your kid only woke up once, and that happened 3 times. And then, the next night you switched it to a lullaby, and they woke up more. Try and give them some subjective insights on that. And then in that sense too, we've even talked with some other companies about integrating it like with their baby monitor. So,
Mm,
if the baby monitor senses something, it can talk to the dreamer, and again, either within our app, alert the parents or manipulate the sound on its own.
mm. One thing to be careful of, and this is I'm telling you with from my experience talking to founders pretty much every day for the last uh, 4 months, is like I've seen founders getting too distracted with adding more and more features to their products, and they kind of like sometimes go overboard, because I feel like if you added a microphone, then you'll also have to deal with privacy issues because it is connected to the internet, right?
It is not
It's not. So how are you downloading the firmware?
just through Bluetooth, and you can
Oh,
turn
through
the
the
Bluetooth
phone?
just through the app.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So that'll
yeah.
be another education thing that you'll have to let people know. I remember I gifted an Alexa device once to my in-laws, and then they were like they didn't even use it once, and I was like, why didn't you use it? And it's like, well, I'm not gonna have anything with the microphone in my house,
Fair enough. Yeah,
so
no,
you
that's
have to.
we didn't want it connected, but I think in terms of AI or adding features, we understood early on, right? Because that was part of our initial marketing was like, check out all this cool stuff that we have, right? And
Mm,
I mean, I think as men, sometimes that's a good selling point, but not as much about women, right? It's more of an emotional, like, hey, you're tired, you're having a tough time with your kid. We solve your problem. So
yeah.
I'm definitely not interested at this moment in adding any features. We just that's for um, down the line, right? We wanted to just have that base so that in the when we were ready, we had the ability to do that. But I,
Mm,
I I strongly believe that the features in what we have now is a solid product. And other than adding some sounds here or there, or even that update, like I said, about more frequencies, excuse me, that suffices as to what I mean. Again, this is a sleeping device, right? I mean, this
yeah.
isn't something that we're on your phone like, oh my god, you now have all these great apps. Like, the goal is to use this to help you fall asleep, recover. So having gadgets and gizmos and lights, and there are products in our market that have 500 sounds, and it's like, what am I going to do with 500 sounds? Like, I'm gonna I'm not even going to
Mm,
be able to get through all of them. So
yeah.
that's why, like, we wanted to be, again, everything we've tried to do is intentional. Like, we don't want to
Yeah.
flood you with sounds. We want to keep it simple and say, look, there's science behind this. It's easy to use. There's not a whole lot to it. So yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, as an outsider, I'm just like thinking of ideas, right? So here's an idea that came to my mind. You can tell me if it's dumb or if it has any validity to it. So you have two things going for you, potentially two things that you can leverage to separate yourself from other products. So one is the frequencies, right, which is obvious selling point. You only your product is doing it, right? The other thing is AI, right? Because AI is hot. Pretty much you put anything, like in my even in my YouTube titles, if there's an AI title in there, more people will watch it. If it's not, less people will watch it. It's just like everything is AI these days, right? So if you can somehow combine the trend of AI with your frequencies, like maybe, I'm just spitballing here, maybe in this device, AI helps automatically pick the frequencies depending on the environment where the product is in, or depending on if you have a microphone, depending on what it's hearing, it automatically selects the right frequencies. Something like that, where you can combine the frequencies and AI together, and that will make it like such a unique product because no one else can even come, like no one else has even thought of this.
Wait, I don't think it's a dumb idea. I'll tell you that off the start. I think that there's a ton of validity there. I think that, adding a microphone for some of that is will be crucial for us. So let's say you're in that restaurant, right? And all of a sudden, I don't know, it's like the environment changed, right? People are getting rowdy or something, and the dreamer picks that up. It can say, hey, look, we're going to up the volume a little bit without the parents even noticing. And I think with the other thought about, choosing frequencies and sound, I think it's great. I think you will have to have some parent involvement in that. So again, just like my Whoop, right? My Whoop might tell me it's only gathering objective data, right? What my heart rate is, HRV, how much I slept. But there's a journal aspect to it, is right. So it's like, well, how are you feeling? Did you have an insane workout yesterday? Sometimes, it says, Josh, you're 95% recovered. I'm like, you liar. Like, I feel wrecked. So I think that with the dreamer, we would have to have parents be, and I don't think that this would be a problem, but be involved in that process, right? And saying like, hey, you know what? We have some of these prototypes as well that we're playing with like, how did Johnny sleep last night? Johnny slept great last night. He only had one wake up. It took me only 15 minutes to get him back down to sleep. And we use this ocean sound or rain sound or whatever, and kind of curating your own sleep journal. And I think once you got to a certain point with giving the dreamer that information, that it would be able to kind of predict that stuff for you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even with that, we can say, hey, you know what? We're a family that has I'm just saying, we're not, but that has an exact bedtime routine, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to schedule the dreamer to turn on at 7:00 every night. So having some of those, presets as well built in is a possibility for us as well.
I mean, you could theoretically do it without the microphone as well. Like, for example, I'm thinking of my Nest thermostat. Like, it doesn't have, like, it just based on the behavior of when I change the temperature and what I changed to, you can apply the similar model where when was the device turned on, when was it turned off, and you can look at the patterns, what volume was used, all the inputs to the device, right? And you don't need the microphone anymore. You can just use that. And after 30 days, it like and you can press a button to auto select frequencies. And then down the line, you can add more and more frequencies. And that's just like a firmware update, right? So the product remains the same, and it's self-learning. It's getting smarter. And then the biggest advantage is on the marketing side. Then you can market the product as self-learning, AI first, and also having these unique frequencies. And now it's just the angle is so powerful that you literally like crush the competition.
Baby's best friend.
Wait, sorry, I lost you for a second.
It's your baby's best friend, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Best friend. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
That's
Josh, this has been great. Thanks for spending time with us. If anyone is watching this, they're interested in checking out your product, maybe talking to you, maybe even investing in it, investing in your product, what's the best place for them to reach out?
So if you're looking at on the web, we're dreamer.store. And you can also find us on Instagram at Dreamer for Sleep. And then if you'd like to get in touch with me or somebody from our team, it's support@sleepwithdreamer.com.
Josh, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Likewise. Thanks, Abi. Appreciate it.